Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another book review. I know this was a while ago, a long time ago, but my original review didn't go through. It aborted, sadly, but I recently finished this book when I was in the ER with my cat. That was Sunday night, and he had congestive heart failure, and he had been drinking too much water, but they gave him a lot of Lasix. Basically, he peed it all out, but he's fine now. He's taken the Lasix yesterday and today, and it seems that everything is back in order, so thank heaven for that. This book is very short, and it's written from the point of view of Mia Hall. I think her last name's Hall, but it's only, let me see if I can find it. There it is. It just has the preview of the next book, which I'm reading right now. It has 261 pages, and it's an absolutely sensational book, and it is from the point of view of this ethereal state that Mia is in, and she undergoes tragedy. I'm not going to say what this tragedy is, but I'm really looking forward to the forthcoming film. I'm not sure when that's going to be released, but I'm really looking forward to that, and it should be absolutely sensational, so I get to look forward to that, and The Giver, and 100-Foot Journey, as well as Jupiter Ascending and Guardians of the Galaxy. And Maze Runner, although I haven't read Maze Runner yet. I just recently purchased Maze Runner, so I'm hoping to read that in the near future. But there is a sequel to this called Where She Went, and it takes place 3 years after everything that has occurred with If I Stay. And I really enjoyed it. I thought that Mia's character was absolutely fascinating, and her appreciation of music, I can relate to her very well because I love music myself. I'm not a cellist, I'm a pianist, and I guess I could loosely call myself a pianist. I also know a few chords on a guitar. I know cheater chords, but I don't have an acoustic guitar with me anymore. I could still probably play my chords if I tried. Sorry, I'm astrophobic, but it's just a really sensational book, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. It's achingly beautiful and very tragic, and it's actually kind of uplifting as well, because it's a love story, and it's a story about friendship with she and Kim, and she and Kim go through a fight. It's very intriguing what this fight is over, and they make amends later on. They are able to patch everything up, and they stick together, which I thought was very beautiful in its way. It was magnificent, and the writing is just absolutely sensational. It's just tremendous. I don't know why it says on the front that it will appeal to fans of Stephenie Meyer's Twilight. I watched Twilight. No, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't care for it. It just depressed me. I love vampires. Don't get me wrong, but it just was one thing that I don't like Twilight. Twilight's not my thing. Sorry, it's just not. So just say that and leave it at that. And I'm not one of those people that if you tell me you like Twilight, I'm not going to say, well, you're a moron and you wouldn't know good literature if it bit you in the butt. But I'm not the type. I tolerate, and just because you like something that I don't like doesn't mean that you're better than me or I'm better than you. That's just not the way it should be. And this book offers a lot of insight on the afterlife, I think. And Heaven is for Real did too, which I really like. Heaven is for Real, and A Neurosurgeon's Journey. I forget his name right off the top of my head, but that's one of my favorite books as well. I actually did a review of that and it was just absolutely sensational. And another good movie about the afterlife, it's called What Dreams May Come. It's kind of like Dante's Inferno in a way. It's similar to Dante's Inferno, but it's different from Dante's Inferno, because the main character, he has to go into hell to retrieve his wife because she committed suicide, and he does, and he's able to set everything right, even though she is in such a stage of dejection that she doesn't want to be consoled in any way, shape, or form. She's just in the mire, in the pit, basically. Separation. I guess they would call that Sheol. Sheol actually means separation. It's not what we understand as purgatory or limbo. It's just a state of being separate from one's creator. And I think that would be worse than limbo, just out of my own respect for what I consider a divine intelligence. Not really sure what else to say about If I Stay, other than the music that she includes in this is great. The only nag I had is, well, I understand why she didn't care for The Wind Beneath My Wings in this particular instant. There's a reason why she doesn't like it, and I totally understand if this particular person were to have that played. I mean, if they knew that was being played, they probably would have just absolutely been rolling in the grave. And she explains why that is, and it just made more sense to play Three Little Birds, because that makes more sense as Bob Marley, and it suited his character a lot better, but that wasn't what was played. And it talks about just the whole idea of funerals. The funerals are for the living rather than the dying, and that was also discussed in The Fault in Our Stars, which it's very interesting. It's true. It's a ritual that's for the living rather than for the dying, and I would like mine to be one of celebration. I don't want people to cry when I die, because I'm gonna be someplace better, and I'm gonna be able to see my mom again. Thank goodness I get to see my relatives and my half brothers and my twin, if I did have a twin. I think I did. I never had a chance to meet him or her, but it's just something to think about. It just gives me a lot of thought fodder. And even though it's a short book, and I did finish it within one sitting when I was in the ER with my father, it just was hard to put down. And her perspective is so fascinating. It's intriguing. It keeps you engaged and wondering, how is Adam going to respond to this? How's Kim going to respond to this? And it talks about her father and mother, how they met and how they became pregnant with her, and how they weren't ready to be parents. It's about responsibility and how they take control of that responsibility, even though they don't feel that they are adept for it. They feel like they are horribly inept and that they are underqualified, and a lot of people who become parents can relate to that. My own father said before he decided to have me, well, he actually coaxed my mother into having me, but thank goodness he did, or I wouldn't be here. But he had to literally beg proposition my mother to have me because of what had happened to her in the past. And I don't know if you've watched my videos in the past, but my mother had a humongous tragedy, even worse than what's in this book. My mother lost her entire family. Her first son died when he was 2 because he had a cardiac arrest on the gurney, and he had megalocolon. So what they had to do is they had to make an opening, an actual physical opening, because he had no opening for basically he didn't really have a colon. They had to make one, and it's a very painful operation. At the time they didn't really have the technology to do so, and the second time that they were going to stretch out the anus, and all the colon that he didn't have, well, the colon that they just put in, he died. he had a heart attack on the gurney, and she it was hard for her she had another son, natural born, and then she adopted one, and she was still married to Jack at this point in time. I called Jack my stepdad, even though I didn't know him personally. I mean, he wasn't no relation to me. I just owe him that respect because he knew my mother, and I feel like I owe him a little bit of deference because of that, even though I never really met the man. They all went to Alaska, and what happened is they were going to take a flight. Well, my stepdad, my half-brothers, my uncle, my mom's favorite brother, I should say, he was a bush pilot. So they all went in July, and they were going to take a flight, and she regretted never kissing them goodbye because there was a thick fog on that day, and my uncle rammed into the side of a mountain. Everybody on that plane died, including my half-brothers and my stepfather. She was devastated. She was absolutely, positively racked with sorrow. I would say it was abject depression, and she just, every July and every Christmas, she would kind of sequester herself, and she wanted to be aloof. She didn't want to be around anybody. She just would say to my dad and myself, go see a movie. I don't want to be bothered, which I completely understand. But my dad had known her before, and I don't use the word fate very often. I said they had the red thread around their little pinky. So they had the red thread that linked them together, and they were meant to be, and they got married. And that also took a lot of wheedling from my father. My father must have been a salesman in a past life, but he was able to do so, and then through a lot of consequent persuasion, he was able to get me into the world. But I'm glad he did, and it's one thing to be reminded of her, it's one thing to be reminded of her, and I know she's there, and I know I'll see her again, and it's just, her state is very, intriguing, and it's, everybody seems to be having a lot of, discussion on NDEs, and I think it's good because I do think that these things happen, even though your highbrow scientists say it's just a hallucination of a brain that lacks oxygen. Well, no, they've got evidence that absolutely destroys that, and that's my rebuttal. There are plenty of other cases that actually confirm that NDEs do happen, and they do exist. And actually, this is another good case right here. Even though it's fiction, it still proves that NDEs exist. So I just thought I should throw that out there while I'm at it. And it's just a spectacular book that I think that everybody should read. And I'm reading the second, well, I'm reading Land of Stories, the third book right now, but the second, Where She Went, the sequel, I'm reading right now, and I will do a review of that subsequently in the future. So until next time, live long and prosper, everybody. Ciao tutti.